All right, guys, 7 o'clock. Let's get this rolling. Hi, everybody. Welcome to chapters 5 and 6. All right, 5 and 6 or 6. Yeah. David, did you want to do an intro?
Yeah, sure. I'm the only Dave, right?
Yes.
Pleased to meet you, Juice.
Yes.
Pleased to meet
Nice
you,
to
Juice.
meet you.
Yeah, pleased to meet everyone here. I'm from up north. I don't know if I've had those experiences. I've been researching it for a number of years. And I read this book back in the 90s. And I went online not too long ago, looked it up, and I saw that you guys had a group, so I thought I'd join, if you don't mind. I worked with Lori after the death of Mr. Monroe.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, for 6 months. And I don't know what else I could tell you about myself but that. And I believe it was you, Ronnie, that said, yeah, Mr. Monroe, he led that project, the remote viewing project. He was a big contributor, definitely a big contributor to that. They're still leading it, by the way, up in Canada on the West Coast.
Oh,
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, they don't even make it a secret that they're doing remote viewing up there. It's public knowledge now. Thank you very much.
yeah. Thanks for coming. Susan?
I'm an astral projector since I was a child. I am a medium. I'm semi-retired at that right now. I'm a paranormal investigator. I just do that once in a while now on, or in my area on request. And I've taught astral projection classes at several places over the years. And I've been published in 3 countries in journals, mostly research journals. And so, yeah, this astral projection is my favorite subject, one of my favorite subjects in the world. So I love being here. I love talking to all of you and getting all of your stories too. Audio.
Unmute, that would help.
There.
Hi, guys.
I read your good news, Nikki. Read your good news.
Yes. I'm up in Maine. I astral projected, I would call it more out-of-body experience as a child. Kind of, I was experiencing trauma, and it was sort of like a automatic survival tactic. But I had my first voluntary and pleasant experience yesterday morning.
Yay.
I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Can you tell us about it?
Let's see. Nikki, would you feel more comfortable talking about it now or as we get into later on? I'll leave it up to you.
I'm ready to talk if you guys are ready to listen. I'm excited.
The only thing is, I think Stephanie and Jason are going to be on. They would like to hear it too. They should be on shortly.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that's okay.
Would you mind actually holding off for just a little bit until they get on?
Yeah, sure. You just let me know.
Okay. And then maybe Karen might be on too. She'd like to hear it, hopefully. Right,
Oh,
Susan?
she did. I had to stop myself from, Karen, I thought you were saying Kathy. I had to stop myself from going back into my body because I was so excited to tell Kathy. I was like,
yeah.
No, let's explore and we'll call her afterwards.
So hopefully, is she coming on, Susan, Kathy? Gary. Hi, would you like to do an introduction?
Unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you. Yep. Welcome.
Okay. I'm actually, Gary's deceased, so I'm his widow, Marty.
Hi.
And I'm in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I have had my experience. I've had 2s in my youth, spontaneous out of bodies, and I've been trying to do it intentionally lately. I've had 4 successes, which I have some questions about whenever we get around to that, if there's any time. So that's my intro.
No.
And
Welcome.
I have the Audible book on journeys out of the body, so I did study those chapters for this meeting, 5 and 6.
Excellent. Great. Thanks. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for allowing me to come.
Ronnie.
Hello, I'm Ronnie, in Las Vegas, Nevada. Semi-retired myself. I'm super excited to hear Nikki had one of her first, at least conscious experience. That always makes me really excited when I hear that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that really, my heart lit up for that. I've had many different out-of-body experiences, different types. I usually have them, I don't know, once every couple of weeks at least, depending on what's going on in my life. I've known Juice for some years now. It has been years, right, Juice?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, since 2013, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. You and Stephanie.
You started the Las Vegas one, right? Did you start the group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Stephanie's help, I did. Yeah. I didn't go too far with it, but I want to get it going again. And I'd like to kind of focus on the sleep paralysis side of it. That's kind of where I've been really interested, because that's one of the main ways that people can get out of body. And I think a lot of them that are having that experience don't really realize what it is. And they're probably a little scared when it happens. I know I was when it first started happening to me. I wouldn't mind knowing at some point how many people here have experienced the sleep paralysis and the vibrations, because those two things are basically your door to get out of body if that happens to you. You just got to get past the scary part of it. That's pretty much it. Glad to be here. Glad to be around people who have done it, are doing it, and want to do it. That's very exciting for me. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie. Jace?
Yeah, let's see. I've known Juice since 2012 and been with this group ever since. Got into lucid dreaming back in college, and then OBEs were something I became interested in 2009 when I met Stephanie. And I don't know, that's about it.
Good enough.
Thanks.
Good enough.
Peter.
Yes. Hello. Well, let's see. I think I met you, 2016, 17 maybe?
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been trying to do this I've been interested in this for about 30 years. Been trying to do it for about 25. And, still working on it. But anyway, I just got here. I was really tied up in Austin today, and must have been a wreck on 290, because it took me a very, very long time to get home, and I didn't have time to read any of the chapters before the meeting. Yeah, there must have been a wreck on 290, because it was moving at a snail's pace all the way from central Austin. It took me over an hour and a half to get home. And so I'm running very late, and I have other things I'm going to have to take care of before tomorrow. So I didn't read anything for today. So I think I'll rejoin you on Friday. Friday's the next one, right?
Yes. You can still, you don't have to read to be here.
No, I know, but I'm late with many things. I didn't expect to be gone all day, and I have a pile of things I have to take care of.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, if you get some stuff done, just pop back in later then if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations on having an out-of-body experience, Nikki.
Thank you.
Actually,
I hope I have one soon. What?
Since we were waiting for Nikki to tell her story, if Stephanie was getting on, but I just found out from Jason, Stephanie's not coming. So do you want to stay on real quick? And Nikki's
Yeah,
gonna
I'd like to
tell
hear
us-
Nikki's story.
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. Nikki?
All right. Sure. So, yeah, so it was the first. So I guess that's actually 2 days ago. I woke up early for me. It was like 8 in the morning. And I was just exhausted. And I was trying to write my dream down, but I kept falling asleep trying to write it. And then it dawned on me that I could probably use that to try to go out of body. So I just kind of stopped trying to fight the heavy feeling and the sleep and leaned back into it. And I was looking at my arm, and I'd look away from it and try to move it and then look back. And then sure enough, I was in sleep paralysis, and I thought I was moving my arm, but nothing, it was still. So I was like, oh, I think I'm doing it. So, so I tried to do like the thing where you do a sit up, but my body was so heavy, like it would just zoink me right back down, and I was fighting with everything I had to get out of there because it was just very tempting to just sleep. I was so heavy, but I was persistent. So I kept trying to do the sit-up thing, and finally I said, okay, that's not working. And try to roll over. And I did eventually roll off the bed. I had to like kind of rock back and forth and get momentum going. And then I fell out. And it's kind of funny because I was worried for a minute about not having enough space between the stand and the bed, that I would hit the stand. I'm like, oh wait, no, I won't. But yeah, once I got out, I hit the floor. And at first I kept trying to turn around and look at my body. And every time I would do that, it would suck me back into my body. And I would have to do the whole thing of rocking and getting back out again. So after, 3 or 4 times of that, I was like, I'm not going to waste this whole trip trying to look at my body. So I'm going to go explore. So my room looked, exactly the same as it normally does, except there would be something off. So I'd just be looking around for the one thing that was different. And the first time I saw where my bookcases are, there were fish tanks instead. And so like, that's interesting. So I go over and I'm looking at those. And then another tank appears underneath them that's from the 1800s, and it has a big frog in it. So I associate the frog with my sister. So I decided that I would try to project like healing and love onto the frog from this form. So I'm doing that. And as I do it, it starts shifting from this slimy frog into this furry, cute thing. And kind of reminds me of my cat. And then before I leave, I unlatch all of the, cages, and I say, you're finally free. And, let them go out. And what's weird about that is I found out that my sister's pet guinea pig had died. So I feel like they might be related. And the other thing I did was I went over, I found out that, I don't know if there's a name for it, but like I could touch things and get information about it. So like I went over to this antique wardrobe bureau thing that I got on the side of the road and touched it, and it kind of like flashed me back in time to the 1930s. And then I could see the previous owner's name engraved in the wood. I found all of her things in it. So she had all these old gift tags. I found an obituary with a guy's name on it. And the date, it just said the year that he died was 1920 in London. And I was trying to collect as much info as I could, but the names were weird. Like it felt like it was another language. There were back-to-back consonants where I felt like there should be a vowel in there or something. But his name was Sir Jonathan. I got that. But his last name I couldn't quite read right. And then the other really cool thing was that I discovered some items are portals. So I was about to try to go into this poster on the wall that was like all shadowy and it had lightning all over it, black lightning. I decided I should probably wait because I have a habit of like diving in head first. So I was like, all right, we'll do that next time when I'm a little more like protected, I think. But it was interesting. And the other thing that really stood out was that my cat could see me.
Wow.
Have you guys ever heard of that? I was sitting there going through my stuff and I turned around and my cat was sitting there looking at me like, what the hell? So I started laughing like, oh my God, she could see me. And I stuck my hand out to try to get her to come over. She started coming over and then she kind of stopped and backed up and was like, yeah, I don't think so. Too weird for me. But she definitely could see me. And then I got to thinking, well, who else can see me? So I left my room and I went out into the rest of the house and started exploring, and my boyfriend could not see me. I actually was in his face like, woo, hello, nothing. So that was interesting. I played around with our security cameras trying to trigger them with my body for quite a while. I did trigger it at one point, but I mean, I haven't tried to look at it or anything. I don't know what that would even show, but yeah, it was wild. I stayed out for a really long time. And then with the portals and all of that stuff, I had a thought of, because you mentioned sleep paralysis and I have suffered that often. And I had seen shadow people and they attack me and this, that, and the other. So I had thought, well, maybe I can find their entry point into my house while I'm in the astral field. And I didn't feel scared at all. I just felt like, take that, bet you didn't know I could come in here. You're gonna close off your entry. So I opened the basement door to go down there. For some reason, I thought they might be connected to the basement, but when I opened it, I saw two kids down there. And there were two black kids, a little boy and a little girl, maybe like 4. And the girl had this like old-fashioned dress on with tiny flowers on it, and neither one of them moved like a human would, and it kind of freaked me out because they could move really fast and like levitate. And they shot up the stairs and they were coming straight for me. And I got kind of spooked. And just before they made it to this top step, I slammed the door and put my hands up and said, I banish thee. And then there was silence, but then I immediately was like, oh God, what if they were like, they just needed my help and I just banished them, I should probably get out of here before I accidentally banish anybody else and figure out what I'm doing first. So that was that's when I decided to come back in. And at that point, when I came back in, I did see my body finally. As I was coming back into it, I saw me sitting there and I thought it was so funny. I was like, I just felt so disconnected from it and it was so weird looking. I sat there just like, is that what I look like? Really? But yeah, I've been just completely ecstatic about it. So exciting. I was always confusing lucid dreaming with astral travel before this, but now that I've experienced it, I can definitely tell the differences more easily.
It's amazing for a first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am so excited to learn about more, so I can go in there with a goal next time you know, like maybe meet somebody, meet my spirit guides or something. But this was a good like exploratory mission.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm wondering about a lot of things, like, well, my cat, and then, you know, the animals that I saw in that realm, the people, and if it's normal to touch things and see past times and things like that, or like what was I tapping into there. But I really had a lot of fun, and I am super excited to do it again. And I felt like, you know, Kathy's hypnosis, I didn't go out of body while listening to it, but I think it played a big part, that in this group, because I was imagining what it would look like and feel like to go out of body that whole time we did the hypnosis. And I think it kind of planted the idea in my head so that it, you know, was able to come to fruition. And I had just heard something that cleared things up for me too, that shamans, when they go on journeys, that the journey happens in their imagination, but they usually go in with like a question or, you know, a specific goal in mind, and their answer will come to them in the days following in very realistic visions or dreams. So I thought, okay, so maybe this was like, I went into the astral realm in my imagination, and then within the next couple of days, I was able to go there for real.
Nikki, do you, I remember my first, do you feel like,
Oh, it says my internet, Dad.
do you feel really high right now? Like, do you feel like a little different from it right now at this point, at this
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah.
You're, oh, say it again, you froze up there.
Sorry, it says my internet's getting shady. Yeah, I'm definitely like giddy.
Susan has her hand up.
She said something a minute ago and I wanted to respond to. I'm trying to think what it was now. I think it was the hypnosis thing. I've used lots of hypnosis tapes for, you know, early on, just to practice when I was doing astral projection. When I got older, I wanted to try the tapes. I've never gone out of body when somebody was when I've been hypnotized. One time, and I wasn't even trying to get out of body then. It was just, I was at a convention, and there was a guy who was doing a hypnosis. I don't remember what the subject was, but he had 2 microphones. And through one microphone, he had a pre-recorded script of himself talking. At one point in his hypnosis, he went and he just split. He was talking live, and he had his recording voice, and he was giving 2 different things. I could follow it. I knew what each one of them, I followed each one of them. It was no problem. It was like there was 2 brains, and I had no problem following. And then I was lying across 3, because this was not set up for hypnosis. It was a huge meeting. There was probably at least 150 people in there, and it was all folding chairs. And so you can lie on the floor if you want to, whatever. I didn't want to lie on the floor. So I lay across 3 hard folding chairs, and I just floated above it. When the 2 voice split thing, it just made me feel like I was just levitating there, and didn't want to go anywhere. I was just listening to him, but I could follow both streams of conversation that he was having, and I understood both of them. And when it was over, I knew exactly what both conversations were, that's an astral quality. You know, you can actually do that. You can just gather so much information. But Kathy and I worked on, I called her today, and we rehashed the script so that it's more streamlined. And I think it'll be easier. I put some things in because, like you were, Nikki, you were saying when you got out, you were trying to sit up or roll over or whatever. And that's rolling over. Rolling is a real easy, simple. I mean, it's such an easy way, you know, if you can do it, it's easy to do that. But when you have that heaviness, you know, like you were talking about, because sometimes that goes along with the sleep paralysis or the vibrations and stuff, makes you feel very, very heavy. So if you just lie there and you feel the state like, oh, I think I could get out right now, instead of trying to roll or whatever, if you feel very heavy, all you really, if you just give yourself mental command and just say up, 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 and you will go right up. You'll probably find yourself bouncing on the ceiling. That's my thing. It's just, I just lie there and say either, you know, up to the ceiling, up on the roof, up, 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 and it gets me out. And then you have that intention, and then that's your focus, is that intention. And it sounds like you just kind of covered all the bases here in your out of body experience. It seems like you just had a multitude of experiences that were kind of mixed up. And when you get to a point where you guide yourself to a specific point, you'll be able to control that. You know,
Yeah.
so you'll go exactly where you want to go and see what you want to see. And yes, cats can see you, dogs can see you, cats, and I don't know what other animals, but I know that cats can see you. I've had that experience a long time ago, and I found that out. I had a feral cat at one time that was, and I had a lot of tame cats, but this one feral cat that was there, an absolutely beautiful Siamese cat, and all the cats picked on her. And she was so beautiful, and she was so just wild. She was afraid of humans, but we fed her, you know, and she would show up and she would eat. And I got out of body one day. I went out and I thought about her, and I thought, I'm going to go see China, because I knew she was out sitting in this old house we lived in, had just a window air conditioner unit, and she was on top of that. So I went outside, went around to where she was, and she was there, and she looked at me. She saw me, and you know, and I put my hand out like this. I didn't touch her, but I put my hand out like that. And she looked at me, you know, she would walk around a little bit. She was really wild. And she finally came up and tried to rub me. You know, when they do that, they're claiming you. You know, but she came up and was rubbing where my hand was. And I was so excited that I'd gotten a response from her. I went right back in body, got up and came out there, and I put my physical hand out just like that. And she rubbed my hand with her face. It was the first time ever. But yeah, they can see you and they respond to it.
Yeah, the same cat that could see me, I always used to say, I swear she can see the shadow people too.
Yeah.
Because I would wake up scared shitless, paralyzed, looking at it, and she'd be sitting there.
Yeah, they can see.
You know, looking too, and I'd be looking at her for comfort, like, tell me you're not seeing that too.
They see different frequencies than we do, unless we're in an altered state. They can see. We see more than we see.
Nikki, that's great. Thanks for sharing, and enjoy that feeling, confidence and adventure, and I just remember it being so great. So it looks like Stephanie just came in. Stephanie, do you want to do a little intro real quick?
I'm in the car, so you probably hear a lot of noise. So I'll just say hi.
We didn't think we were going to make it. We were holding off for you, but we gave up. I'm glad you got to hear some of it. You can always watch it later.
Right,
And,
thank you.
Let's see. Somebody else came in here. Was it Andrew? Andrew, did you want to do an intro?
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, your name, where you're from, and maybe some OBE experience or astral projection you want to share.
Yes. Well, it first started for me. It started with sleep paralysis when I was young. At first, I didn't understand it because it was quite a long time ago. This was back in the 70s. There were not many. There was not many literature or books about the subject, apart from the old Silver Muldoon and Congratz, Soul Travel, and those were the only things that were available at that time. But I was lucky to stumble into a book by, it's called Ophiel, something like that. The Art of Astral Projection. And it's from that I was able to make connections. It's a very good book to read. It's not like the new he wrote the book back in the 70s. So it's an old book, but it's classic. So my first astral projection involved me, because what happened at first, I used to get spontaneous projections where I can just come out and go onto the astral plane, but then it all stopped. It's kind of dried out. So I had to learn how to do it. Like I started, with keeping a dream journal, and then that led to lucid dreaming, which then I was able to work my way into actually consciously doing astral projection myself. So that's all, and I've been projecting for over 40 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing. All right, that's everybody on there, I believe. Everybody got an intro. If not, speak now.
I'm gonna leave. I'll see you all Friday.
All right, Peter.
See you, Peter.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you, Peter.
Bye.
Okay, I think that's everybody. So, guys, we'll do a little bit on chapters 5 and 6, and then we can head back into general OBE chat. And let me pull this up here. All right, so we're gonna get into. Come on. Okay, so today 5 and 6 he talks about Locale II and Locale III on both one on Locale II on the first chapter, then Locale III on the second, and then before this we did Locale I. So I'll just read that again just to refresh memories here on Locale I. According to Monroe, it's our ordinary world. The second body leaves the physical body behind and floats around the world, seeing the usual objects, visiting the homes of friends or loved ones, and so on. Experimentally testable. So Locale I was here in this world, and it sounds like what Nikki did, maybe a little mixture in there, but Locale I on your out of body, according to Monroe. Would anybody not agree? Nikki's, would anybody not say that might not be Locale I?
Not all of it.
I think she was mostly in Locale I, and then she was having these mixed experiences where she was just kind of, because especially when you first start doing this, you want to do everything. And so you're going to draw to you, all kinds of stuff at one time. So I'm not surprised that it was a mixed bag.
I agree.
So Locale II, and this is a little brief summary of Locale II. Things can get a bit scary in Locale II, he talks about. This can be a region of demons, possibly. As Monroe left his body, he would be harassed by nightmarish beings gasping at his second body, impeding his progress and generally making things quite unpleasant. He stated, however, that Locale II was the natural environment of the second body, where thought translates directly to bodily motion, where we all go to sometimes when we sleep, but most of us forget or it gets erased quickly. This is also a place where the dead loved ones can wait for you and help you cross over. So would anybody like to comment on Locale II?
It sounds like the shadow realm.
It's not actually. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, whoever's going to. My Locale II, I have never compared it to the Monroe because a lot of our experiences, we have our own names for them, and we describe them differently because we experience them differently because we're individuals. And while I've seen some of the type of things that Monroe talks about in Locale II, I've seen those before, but I've never ever in my life felt in danger or like anything could really hurt me. I just never have. I've always felt protected. I've always, if I saw something that was really frightening to me, and there was a time many years ago, God, it must be close to 40 years ago. I came back into body and someone was, it wasn't a person. I don't really know what this was, but it was a little bit of harassment, a little bit of, and I said a prayer while I was out of body, and I just asked, I said, you know, wherever you are, you know, my spirit is always with me. Wherever you are, you deal with this, because this is a new one for me. So you deal with this. And I just came back and dove into my body. I came in too hard, had a headache, which happens if you come in your body, back in your body too fast. That happens sometimes. But then I was still ajar enough that when I was looking around the room, I was still seeing astrally. And there was this like just this tumbling fight kind of wrestling thing going on, this energetic thing that was going on. And so, you know, I had called in help and it was taking care of it. And it just, you know, after just a couple of minutes, you know, they were gone. It was fine. So I've been in some weird places, but what I've always called Locale II, I was calling it that before I read the Robert Monroe book. I knew that there was another reality. And so Locale II was, for me, it was, or what I considered my Locale II was actually more pleasant than my Locale I, because you just have to see where this little town is where I live. It's pretty racist and closed off and a lot of things. We live outside in the country. So my Locale II was a more perfected version of this, with businesses that, you know, I could go into businesses. There was actually a little health food restaurant here, which is unheard of for this area. And I walked in and introduced myself to the people in this location. They could all see me, touch me, you know. Their names were David and Robin. I've seen them twice out of body, and they owned the cafe, and it was lovely. It was just fun. There were a couple of things, you know, that I was learning at the time. I was being taught some things at the time that I needed to know. And looking back, I realized that I went through a really long apprenticeship for what I was going to do later. And at this instance that I was telling you about, I was having fun. I wanted to stay out of body. And I was actually out of body for about an hour and a half, maybe this time. And I was visiting with these people, and we walked outside the little cafe. We were standing and talking, and I heard the guide, or if you call them angels, whatever you're comfortable with, but it's a telepathic thing, and they all communicate with you and tell you, you know, if it's time to go back or whatever. And I was told, you know, now, okay, that's enough for today. It's time to go back. You should go on back to your body. And I said, no, I don't think so. I'm having fun, and I think I'm going to stay out for a while longer. And so they didn't say anything to me, but I saw a boy riding a bicycle coming toward the cafe, and he drove up to me on the bicycle, and he got off the bicycle and he stood and he said, "Are you going back to your body right now?" And I said, nope, I'm going to stay out for a while. And he said, "Well, can I get into your body? Can I project into your body while you're not there?" And I'd never heard of that before. It just freaked me out, and it was set up for me. That was a setup so that it would startle me enough to get back to where I was going. So he took off in the direction of my house, flying. And I was so startled, I forgot that I was out of body. And I got on his bicycle and I started riding his bicycle toward my house, which was about 2 miles away, 3 miles away, something like that at the time. And when I got about a block, just rode about a block on the bicycle, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm out of body. So I flew and I passed over him, and I just dove into my body hard again, another headache. But it was teaching me, when they tell you to go back, if somebody tells you it's time to go back, go back. Because and for whatever, I don't care what their reason was, they know what they're doing. I just trust the guides that I have. I trust my guides. I trust these beings that have helped me all these years. You have to do this. You have to take those leaps. You know, you have to be willing to take these leaps. But if somebody, if this benevolent being says it's time to go back, you should go back now. You should go back, and they don't get mad if you say no. They don't get mad. They just teach you why. You know, well, yeah, you know, you need to. You know, here we need to startle or scare her a little bit and have her understand when we say it's time to go back, it's time to go. So that was my experience of Locale II. Was always pleasant. That wasn't even unpleasant. That was just a little startling, but it wasn't unpleasant. So I liked that Monroe put it that way. Locale I, Locale II, Locale III. I liked how he did it, and he could differentiate, and how it just got a little stranger, you know, each time. And how he learned to deal with it. It was just wonderful,
Right.
wonderful.
Right. I was going to mention, if anybody has a question while somebody's talking, you can if you can, just put your hand up on the option on your screen, raise your hand. And that way I can call you first if you have a question that pops up. Susan, I was going to say in chapter 5 here, Robert Monroe talks about helping a little boy that needed help. He got called. He tried to go somewhere, but he got called to this little boy, and he didn't know why the boy was calling him or anything like that. And the boy wanted comfort all the time. So Robert Monroe put his arm around him and it was comforting him, but he didn't know why, what was going on. Then he read in the paper a little bit later, after the boy didn't come to him anymore, that some little boy died of something close by to him that came up to him in the paper that he felt might be a connection.
He was drawn to him, yeah.
Yeah. And I know how you get called.
Yeah.
A lot.
I'm wondering, how is there like an average out of body time? Because I didn't even consider that, but I was out there forever, like 8:30 till 11. Yeah. Just playing.
From my experience, that was a good run for your first one. That was a good length of time.
Yeah.
Heck
definitely.
yeah.
Beginner's luck.
Well, now.
Anybody else? Susan?
No, I'm just. I've read it where people have, historically, people that were famous for astral projection were able to stay out over a day at a time. I've never experienced anything like that. 2.5 hours, 3 hours is my limit. That's it.
I gotta head out, guys, but great to see everyone.
Yeah.
I will be on for Friday. Bye.
Okay, drive safe.
Bye.
Will do. Bye.
Bye. Stop.
All right. Hey, has anybody ever experienced this? I stayed out for most of a day once, but it was only maybe an hour or so time here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Else? Yeah, I have. Has anybody else? Yeah, that's possible. That's just another part of it. It's kind of an odd thing, but it happens. You go out and in your out of body time, you've spent a whole day in activities or whatever, traveling, whatever you're doing, and then you come back and you've been gone for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And it's very strange because you've had a whole day. You've had, you feel like you've been away for 12 hours or better. Just, so I know what you're talking about.
And you hear those people on DMT trips. Sometimes they feel like they've been gone for centuries, and then they had to come back. So that's amazing with the time distortion.
Yeah.
I'm sure out of body too. Yeah, I'm sure there's stories like that. All right, Locale III. This is this is my favorite because it takes after my favorite movie. If anybody's ever seen The 13th Floor, but Locale III, described by Monroe in summary, proved to be a physical matter world almost identical to our own, but things were just a bit different. There are no electrical devices whatsoever. The transport there includes a steam-driven locomotive that sounds like a cross between an American motorhome and a high-speed train, which hauls wooden cars, and automobiles twice as wide as their earthly equivalents. which drive along huge roads at a sluggish 15 to 20 miles per hour. So it's a world almost identical to this one. But what's good about what he talks about on this one is he actually refers to himself as I, and he goes into somebody else's life in this world. So basically, when he goes out of his body and he goes into the Locale III, he's taken over somebody else's body, the same person all the time, the same man's body all the time. So when he takes it over, he's acting a little weird, and he's wondering if the person that he's married to, if she starts noticing some weird things when he takes over the body and stuff like that. And Monroe's wondering if he's causing problems in this guy's family and stuff like that, because he's taking over the same body every time. And in all different scenarios, like things will be happening. He'll be at a baseball game or someplace, and he'll come in the body, and they're asking him a question. One where he was working at an office once, and somebody was asking him a question. He took over the body. He didn't know how to answer them, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?" So it was like doppelganger. He takes over there in another world, which is pretty interesting. And the movie 13th Floor is about a computer simulation where this guy puts this thing on his head and downloads his consciousness into the computer simulation that has a fake world set up. And he takes over somebody's life in there when he downloads into the system. And he takes over that person's life. And the person that he takes over has amnesia and doesn't know what happens, like what's happening during that time when somebody downloads inside him. So I wonder if the guy who made that movie got his inspiration from Robert Monroe. So would anybody like to talk about Locale III?
I'm wondering if you've seen Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that as well.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it.
And Locale III sounds like it might have had a little bit of that mixed in there too.
Sounds like it.
I didn't know anything about these. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The interesting part for me in that chapter was him occupying this man's body. Like I said, my books didn't come in today. They came in late, so I have to wait for the post office to open to get them so I can start catching up on reading. But I remember the book. I remember the first one so well that you just tell me something in it and I remember. But I remember that where he would occupy this man's body, and he was basically living his life while he was out of body. He was having to live this man's life and then come back to his body, and it's very disorienting. Mentally, emotionally, it's really disorienting. But yeah, I've experienced what he did, and I didn't really divide anything up into locales like he did, as specifically as he did. I admired how he did that, but all I ever referred to this was like My Town 1, My Town 2, and My 2 was better, a lot nicer version than the regular town. So I spent more time in Locale II, but when he talked about going into this man's body and he called that Locale III, that's his description of whatever. I've done that on multiple occasions, but I was shown how to do that as part of the training to do some work out of body that I've done for about 35, almost 40 years now. So I had to know, I kind of became an astral EMT, maybe. That's the best way I can describe it. So I would be drawn out to help people who were injured or whatever. And then there were times if someone is critically injured and they start to bleed out, they go into shock. And just the shock sometimes is more devastating to the body than the fact that they're bleeding out or whatever they need. They need their consciousness. What they tend to do is pop out if they're under. I've done this on many occasions with many different people, and I always have their permission to do it. But and I do not ever advise anybody to do this. Please don't ever try to do this, because I've also had some really horrible experiences doing it. But if they, the first time I tried it, it was a boy that had been in some kind of an accident at the shore. He was at a dock There were nice boats around. He was lying, they had laid him on the dock and he was bleeding profusely and they're trying to stop his bleeding. The ambulance hadn't got there yet. I was there and I was there trying to communicate. I was communicating with me and he just had his gaze fixed on me. And I saw him slipping away and I kept telling him, get back in your body, get back in your body. You know, your body has to have that energy or you're not going to make it to the hospital. And he was going away. He was just, his essence was, and I knew he wasn't supposed to die. I knew that he was supposed to live. And it was just a split-second decision. And I told him, I'm coming in. And as he was going out, I said, hold on, stay connected. I'm coming in. And I just went into his body. I went into his body and I was in his body for, I don't even know how long, that time, the time where he was, sometimes I can find these people in the news. I can find out who it was that I've done this or had these experiences with, but he made it to, we went to the hospital. When the next thing I remember, because I believe he had surgery, the next thing I remember, I was opening my eyes in his body or opening his eyes. I was still in his body. Uncle was there, had made it to the hospital and was saying, you know, we almost lost you. We almost lost you. And I was like, oh, and I could feel, it's like, okay, they fixed him and he's gonna be okay. And so I told him, you come back, you can come back again, now I'm leaving. So you come back in. And I felt him, as I was moving out, he was swinging in and the shock, you know, and I wondered if Monroe himself had been called to be in this man's body for a similar reason, but not necessarily a physical problem, but maybe he just needed a break from his life. Or maybe there was something there in that life that Monroe was learning by being there. And this guy, they never go away. When you go into their body, they don't go away. They're still attached by their cord, but they're resting. They just hang outside and they rest. And sometimes that's a gift you can, you know, if you're called to do that. But once again, I do say, don't do it. Don't do it, because you have one really, really bad experience and you won't even want to go out of body again. So I would never do that unless you're trained to do it by a spirit guide. I would not.
Can I ask you something about that?
One second there, Ronnie. I have Andrew. He's got a question.
How do you raise
Okay, yes. Yeah, there's a point I want to make regarding the locales, whether it's called Locale I or Locale II or Locale III. If you're a projector, an astral projector, or someone that can project, by the description of what the person, by the description, you would know that, okay, that's etheric plane, or that's the astral plane, or that's the mental plane. You can easily tell. Now, when I listened to that experience about Locale III, I read that book. What I picked up was that he was on a physical plane, but not a physical plane, not the earth. If you understand what I'm saying, it looked like a different world.
Yeah.
The way he described it, he didn't say it was like in New York or it was in, you know, and the person he took over was a physical being. It wasn't an astral being.
Yeah.
Right.
And going back to the experience of the, is that Mary, is that Marty, when she was talking about a child that died and she was able to enter the child, and yeah, it's kind of like that part. It makes more sense that the person that he took over was a physical being.
Right.
In a different planet or different part of the galaxy, because I read that part, and that ties in with what she shared, that someone, the guy who, the child was about to die and she was able to, so it ties in with physical. So that tells me straight away, it's not really about the locale, but it's about the body that you're using. Now, the body that can do what that woman said and what he said is called the mental body. So it's not about the locale. The locale could be any place. The Locale III could be anywhere in the universe.
Right.
So if you are trying to find Locale III, you might have difficulties in finding it. But the local one, the local one and Locale II, that one we understand that one. And that's where my personal opinion, on it as a projector, because
Right.
it is possible not to actually enter the person, but you can take over the person. But the only body that can do that is the what we call the mental body or the mortal spirit. It can take over the person's mind, not the body. It's more about taking over their mind, because mind is the highest, because you
Yeah.
can't actually enter. The idea that you can enter into another body that another soul is in, it can't. That is not going to be possible for the person to do that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
good way of
actually.
looking at it.
It is actually possible because I've done.
And you can't push your soul out of the body.
You
The
don't push
soul
it
can
out of the
only
body.
leave when it's supposed to leave.
Yeah, you don't push it out of the body. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You don't push
Yes.
it out of the body.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
push soul out of the body. The soul only leaves when you can't. It's not possible to do that.
They can displace etherically. They will displace, and their consciousness stays outside of their body and rests. It's still attached.
Yeah, but there's
to
still
etheric-
something in the body. It's not. There's still something in their physical body while they're resting. It's because if there wasn't that, if there was nothing in the body will fall to pieces. There has to be something that is propping the body up,
Right.
because the physical body cannot prop itself up. It needs to be propped up by the spiritual parts.
Nikki, did you have something? Did you want to respond? I have you up next.
Yeah, mine is from a while ago. So a little going back to Locale II here. I'm wondering, so when I experienced sleep paralysis and I would see these shadow beings, that kind of resonated with me, similar to the Locale II with the demons and things like that. But I was not out of body at the time, but it was almost like I was seeing the astral realm in my body, like, because I told some of you guys the story about how I was able to create the ball of light to throw at the shadow being, and I was awake and seeing that as if it were real. So is it possible to see that realm without being out of your body? Like, is that the same idea? Like, was I getting a glimpse of it?
Yeah, I think so. You can see without even going out of body. You can see through your third eye. If you practice a lot and you work with that a lot to try to open it, just even a little bit, you can see. My youngest son can do this, and I've done it many times. Just to lie down in bed or sitting, and you're relaxed, and you close your eyes, and all of a sudden, with your eyes closed, all of a sudden the room lights up. For me, it lights up green. There's a green light. So I don't know, because some people see a blue light, but when I do this, I see everything illuminated by green, and I can sit there and squeeze my eyes shut and still see every detail, every little detail in the room. But it's a third eye thing. You can feel it. You can feel it happening there when this activates, and it's just like the whole forehead disappears, and you're seeing. There's a screen, like a gigantic eye here, and you're seeing. Everything is such crisp, sharp detail. You're perfectly lucid and perfectly in your body, seated in your body. This is not an out-of-body experience. You can do that, but then you see it with that vision. You do have that capability. I don't think we really know what all capabilities each chakra presents for us as it activates and as it opens. So.
I feel like it's when you're in your body and they come and attack in that way, you're defenseless, and when you learn to go out of your body, you can protect yourself.
Yeah, see,
I feel safer now that I know I can defend myself and get out if I need to.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Ronnie, did you have a question?
I did, but they kind of answered it. I was just wondering when Susan went into the child's body, was there a possibility that she could have gotten stuck there? Like, let's just say the kid decided he didn't want to come back. I don't know if that's his decision or not, but you know, if he wouldn't have wanted to come back, could she have possibly gotten stuck inside there?
No.
I can answer that question. You see, that body that entered into the child is the not many people have developed it. It's called the immortal spirit. The immortal spirit cannot be captured. It's not something that can happen with that body. It's not the astral body. The astral body doesn't have that capability. It's the spiritual body. It's what called the spiritual body. For those who do a lot of chakra work on the third eye are able to open that eye, but not many people open those eyes. They can open their astral vision. They can also open the etheric vision. You know, the etheric vision is the one that opens up when you're in that room, that dark room, and you can see all those demons or whatever. That vision that you're using to see is the etheric vision. And that body that you're actually experiencing is actually is your body. Your real body is part of the physical body, but you can't see it.
I do have a question about these dark shadow people that I hear about a lot. Is that something that everyone experiences, is going to experience, or is that just an individual thing?
No, it's not an individual thing. I heard a lot of people saying that, oh, your experience is different from mine, or it's not anything to do with that. Once you're in that plane or in that zone, everyone experiences that. That's where you're first of all tested for your fears of the unknown. And until you conquer those fears, you're always going to be stuck in that thing. So once you're able to conquer it, some of them are entities and some of them are just shadows. If it's their shadows, then they're your own. They're your own conscious mind projecting them there. But they are beings that lived there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Susan, did you want to answer that question about you think the boy, you'd be stuck in the body?
No, I would never be stuck in the body.
It's not possible. It's the spirit. How can the spirit be stuck?
Okay.
You have to look at spirit in the true meaning of what a spirit is.
Yeah, we're gonna get what Susan has to say about it real quick.
I would never have been stuck in it. Like I said, this was during the apprenticeship, and there was always a guide, a being with me who was teaching me what to do and how to do it. So they just put it in my mind to do this. And this was a man. He was a young man. He was in his 20s. It wasn't a child. He was in his 20s. My time, I was only gone maybe 45 minutes. His time, I was probably in there several hours. But he was always attached to that body. When you go into, I've had to do this almost, but I've also done it for people that were just having complete breakdown and they need this to move this energy, this part of their consciousness out, just out in their etheric body and stay attached. But there has to be someone functioning. So this was another time was a woman who was just in a very dreary life. It was just, in her time, I was there for 2 weeks in that body, 2 weeks. And I had to be the mother to her children, her father, her husband, and she had no relationship at all. They lived separately in the home. The children, she had to take care of this and do all of the chores, everything, and to also take care of her husband's mother. And this was 2 weeks, and she was just emotionally at her wit's end, and she was suicidal, and I knew she was. And this was another one that I was taken to. I was taken to her, and it was a choice. I was given a choice. I didn't have to, it said, this is how you can help her. This is how you can help this person. So you move your consciousness in, your etheric body or whatever moves into them. You just merge and you give them, they hang out and they rest. They get this just amazing spiritual rest. And then when they're ready to come back in, they come in. It's fluid. There is no harsh transition or anything. She will never even remember that she was out at all. She will just come in feeling better. And for me, there's no ill effects on me. There's never been any ill effects at all. I did want to tell Nikki, I thought of one more thing for Nikki and for everybody. This was interesting to me because if anybody's done very much astral projection here, I when I was beginning, I honestly, this was so long ago, I thought I was the only one that did this. I thought this was an anomaly. So I had to experiment and try a lot of things. So I learned that, say you're standing on the ground, astral, you've gotten out in your etheric body, this body, you're formed, you're fully formed, you're just like your physical body, you're standing on the ground. If you rise up 2 feet, 1 foot, and look around you, it is not the same reality as when you're standing on the ground. You come up a little bit, this is a completely different reality. You go up a little bit more, that's a different reality. It's the strangest thing, but it's it's like vibrational levels that you can move through. And I don't know how high you can go up astrally. I know that there's some pretty wonderful places you can go to, but I noticed that. I wonder if anybody else had observed that you can go up and you can rise up and say stop. Just give yourself that command, stop, and you feel like you're on solid ground, and you engage your vision and look around, and it's not where you were, and it's not, it doesn't look anything like we were. And there will be people there that you don't know, that going about their business. It's a strange thing, but every place you stop, you can experience reality. And so perhaps Nikki, on you were just switching from level to level and seeing these things very rapidly. It was all tied in with this experience, maybe.
Interesting. Yeah, I did try to fly too, and I floated around a bit, and I experienced well, I noticed the differences between like lucid dreaming and astral travel, basically, because in a lucid dream I can float or fly really easily, but when I was out of body, I had this whole new level of fear about it that I had to deal with, because everything was so real that I had this irrational fear that I would fall and get hurt. Yeah. Or what if the rules aren't the same out here? So I really had to like battle with that to be able to fly, and it made it a little harder than it is in the dream. But I did levitate. I could like float. I couldn't really fly like I would have liked to, but yeah, it was interesting. And now I'm really interested to try to see the different levels.
Yeah, it's kind of incremental. Yeah.
Guys, we're moving along pretty quick here. We've got 15 minutes left. I'm going to throw up a survey for everybody if you want to participate in this. I'm going to launch a survey here, a poll. Do you think you've ever entered into Locale II after hearing what Monroe said about it? 50% yes, 33% no, 70% not sure. And how about Locale III? Looks like the same results. All right. All right. So we're moving along pretty quick here. I want to, just to be fair, we can get into open discussion. And Marty's got his hand up first. Well, Marty?
Yes.
Talk about anything you want, the book or your own personal experiences or questions for anybody out there.
Yes, this is the first time I've been able to talk to other people who astrally project, so it's really exciting because I had 2 spontaneous experiences when I was younger. The first one, which was terrifying, when I was like 12. But what's motivated me to get back into this now is my husband died a little over a year ago. And I've been trying all sorts of ways to try to connect with him, which he's connected with me several different ways and does regularly. But I really want to really connect, really be with him. I don't know if anybody can help me with that. I had the Audible book, Monroe's book, and I somehow missed that Locale was II, where loved ones wait for you. So although that doesn't seem like a good place to meet somebody, because that's where raw emotion is released in full force, repressed emotional conditions, and fear dominates, and there's strange beings. Doesn't sound like a great place, but I don't know.
Yeah, there was a park. He was talking about a park there that he went to. Do you remember reading about a park where he met people that were walking around and sitting around and they were waiting and
Yeah, I do.
yeah,
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
and then some people looked like they were really worried and they couldn't believe they were, I guess couldn't believe they were dead and they were waiting for people. He said thinks he probably waiting for other people to pass over, to die, and then maybe they might help him out there. But he doesn't know how long they've been there for. He left the area because he didn't really feel a good connection with it. But that's what he thought. Somewhere in the book it said that I think on Locale II.
I had a couple more. I've been like reading everything I can read and I've kind of been had the most success, I guess, with that Verdugas thing, where you keep switching back and forth between like wiggling hands, rubbing hands. You guys know what I'm talking about? Peering at the back of your eyelid, listening. Okay, so I seem to have some success with that. But I also do this protective thing, and I don't know if that's what's going to be why my separations have been so like violent. But before I do this thing where I imagine this like spotlight coming down and I'm breathing in the light of goodness and compassion and power and love. And at the same time, breathing in gravity from the earth and then having that congregate in somewhere in my gut or something, and then breathing out empty air. And then I like charge up my battery like this, and then that's like a protective thing. But the last 2 times, I mean, I've managed to astrally travel like 4 times in the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Wow. And but like the last 2 were like I like exploded out. Like the next to the last time, I could feel my abdomen, like at my belly button, it like swelled up, like I was being filled up with a garden hose or something, and it just swelled up and like I just exploded out like really fast. And that actually was that was my best, the one that really confirmed to me this was a definite trip, because I did the Michael Verdugas thing where he says you should have a plan for when you get out, what you do, and you should go look in the mirror. So I went and looked in the mirror, and I do this thing called mouth taping. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but you put a piece of tape on your mouth when you sleep so that your jaw doesn't fall open at night. Well, it's another story for another time. It's a wonderful thing to do. You should look at it, look it up. Yeah. Anyway, so I went and looked in the mirror, and then I thought it was kind of funny because there was my mouth tape, but I looked younger and prettier in the mirror, and I thought that was pretty cool. But then I had trouble focusing. Everything's kind of gray. And so then I was doing, again, the Verdugas thing where I was like feeling everything, feeling the kitchen's next to that. And I was feeling the counter and stuff. And then things came into view. And then I went, somehow I live fairly close to the ocean. I went to this condo that I used to have that had like 16-foot high ceilings. And I was inside there, and then I just dove down through it and right out through this like 16-foot high window, went through the window. And then I really picked up speed, like pulling G's, and straight up, and just was marveling at the reality of it, the colors and the feeling of like the wind and everything. And I almost hit a hot air balloon. And then this guy in the hot air balloon yells out, "Oh, I hope I stopped you. You were going too fast. You were going too high." And so I said, "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm new at this." And so then I saw this other thing that was sort of like a hot air balloon, but it was all kind of pretty colors of geometric reds and everything. And again, I was just marveling at how physical everything looked and how clear and sharp and beautiful and so on. And then I was back to the beach, and then I saw some guy floating. There were these people walking around and sunbathing and everything. And there was a guy like levitating, and I thought, oh, there's another traveler. And I went over and I tried to get his attention, but he couldn't see me. So then I tried to see if a dog could see me. Couldn't, I guess. But anyway, that was a pretty good trip. That one was like, this is for sure. This is for real. There's no doubt, especially the physical exit when I went like flying out. And then the last time that I did, I went flying out again, but that was through like my sort of throat area. And when I went flying out again with this great momentum, but now I like hit the floor and my feet had to go real fast because I was going so fast. So I didn't like fall over forward. And then I tried to look in the mirror again and I could see an image, but it was blurry. And it was like, oh, I'm not getting this together. And then bam, I was back in my body. And it was like, crap, you know. But anyway, so, you know, I just didn't, you know, everything I've read and everything, and there's all the stuff about sitting up and floating and rolling out and everything. It's like, what about when you get like blasted out? What the heck is going on with that? Because I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it's just so curious that it's so, you know, I don't know what's going on there.
It's exuberance. Part of it's just exuberance, you know, when you get out like that so quickly and it feels like you just explode out, and you just, you just become exuberant when you're flying. This is like, I'm out here.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I've been trying, and you know, when I did get out, it was like this celebration of joy, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
I guess you guys probably are used to it and everything, but you know, the thing is, it's a confirmation that yes, our consciousness does transcend our physical body, and since my husband died, that's wonderful to have that confirmation. You know?
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, Susan, I don't know if there's any way to contact you. If you're a medium, do you do readings? Or
I used to. I've been kind of semi-retired here for about 4 or 5 years. So I have done a little bit still. I was going to tell you, I think it was in book 1, we're going to get to it, where Robert Monroe talks about visiting people who have passed away. Juice, that's in book 1. That's in this first book, right? Where he's
it's been a few years. It's been like 5 years since I read them, so I don't remember which one it's in. But it's in them.
Second book, but he does talk about it, so that you're going to get to the part where he talks about how if you can get out of body, and you've had a little practice at it, and like he said, it is difficult to do it. It requires the most extreme concentration of any out of body experience you'll ever have, but you can get to where they are, and you can. I've done it multiple times. It's really intense. The concentration required is so intense that I don't do that often. I've lost both my parents within the last 10 years, my mom a little over a year ago. I've lost my brother. My brother and I have made a visitation agreement that we, you know, whichever one of us, I make a visitation agreement with everybody I meet. So whoever dies first, the other one's going to come and get your attention. You know, I'll come back and get your attention. You come back and get my attention. If you go first, let me know, but you have to hear me say, I know that was you. And I know this is real. I'm seeing you. I'm hearing you. Whatever. I know this is real. Thank you. My brother passed a little over 6 months ago from COVID. I have not received anything from him. Sometimes it takes a while for them to acclimate. And if they've been really, really sick, and his death was bad, it was COVID. You know, it was a COVID related. The whole thing, all this year, it was bad. But he did get some peace right before he died. But I wanted to hear from him quickly, but I didn't. So I'm just like, okay, well, this is Mike. Mike was late for everything. Mike will eventually, you know, I'll see him, I'll hear him. He'll let us know that he's okay. So it'd be the same. But if you can get out of body, it is possible. And you will read in Robert Monroe's books, he will tell you, because I never knew it before I read it. And so I thought, well, I have to try it then, you know, and I did, and it is possible. But yeah, I will, I can't get into my email. My computer crashed the other day, and that's the one thing that I can't get into still. But I'm on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can do Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and you can reach me that way.
They're on that same.
Oh,
I'm sorry. On that same note, I was looking, you know, on Facebook on some of the different groups, and there was a guy on there who said he was he had worked for Robert Monroe as a recording guy. Did any of you read that post? That he was like a recording engineer, so he knew Robert Monroe very well, and that Robert Monroe had said one of the greatest regrets of his life was that he didn't spend enough time doing things with his wife, and his wife died. And his wife wanted to go to Hawaii, and he had never taken her to Hawaii, and he was so engrossed in all the stuff he was doing that he neglected her, and he felt extreme remorse, which I'm very I can relate. But anyway, so the engineer guy said to him, well, why don't you just go visit her, you know, if you feel that. And he said he did, but it was too painful and he couldn't do it again. And so I don't know what's going on with that. And I know like Bob Peterson has a whole thing. You all are probably familiar with Bob Peterson in his blog about that it's very difficult, that he evidently had some kind of big connection thing with his mother that he said is too painful to even discuss, that it's whenever he can, he'll elucidate it. But at this point, it's still too painful. So I don't know. But he said it's don't count on it, that like your chances are slim and none, but there is a slim. So I don't know, with being a neophyte, if I'm just, you know, spitting in the wind here. But I just thought I'd ask because there's certainly nobody else that.
Marty, I was gonna say real quick. I see up next is Mikey and Andrew. I see you guys got your hands up.
Okay.
I just want to show this reply real quick here for Marty. I found it in the book, the part you're talking about, the park that he went to. I'm gonna share it. Do you see on the screen?
Yes.
On one visit, I ended up in a park-like surrounding with carefully tended flowers, trees, and grass, much like a large mall would pass crisscrossing the area. There were benches along the paths, and there were hundreds of men and women strolling by or sitting on benches. Some were quite calm, others were a little apprehensive, and many had a dazed and shocked look of disorientation. They appeared uncertain, unknowing of what to do or what it was to take place next. Somehow I knew that this was a meeting place where newly arrived waited for friends or relatives. From this place of meeting, these friends would take each newcomer to proper place where he or she belonged. I could not think of any reason to stay longer. There was no one nearby I recognized, so I returned to the physical without incident. That was,
I wonder if they would go back to that, though. That looks like that's a gateway, like right after death, from the sound of it. Well, I don't know.
Let's see, Andrew, did you want to say something?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. There was one time, if you can do astral projection or go to Locale II, you should be able to contact. This is to the lady who said she's trying to get in touch with her husband. I think what happened was that when you did your astral projection, you forgot about your intent. Because when I wanted to see my granddad, he's passed away about 20 years ago. So I decided, let me go and visit him. So I got onto the astral plane and I had to set my intent to see my granddad. That is a very, very important part. You have to set your intent that you want to see him. And once you set your intent, he will be there before you get there. And that's what happened in my case. He was there and he gave me a hug, you know. And however, when my dad passed away, me and my dad were not on good terms. So I decided, let me go and see him. But when I went to see him, he wasn't in the same place that where my granddad was. He was like it was kind of dark. It doesn't mean he's in a bad place. It's just that the way he died, he wasn't too happy about the situation. So he was kind of like still mourning his own death. So his back was turned to me. I didn't see him. All I could see was his back turned to me. So I realized that some might not necessarily want to communicate with you. But if you've got a good relationship with them, there's no problem. They will communicate with you, but they have the choice not to communicate. So you have to set, when you go into the astral plane, you have to set your intent that this is what I want to happen. Without the intent, you're wasting your time. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, tension is
Yeah.
important. Thank you. It's 8:30, so I always continue a little further. If you need to leave, you know you can leave. Thanks for coming, and you can leave at any time you want, and we'll just continue just open discussion.
I can stay for just a few more minutes.
Well, I have another question then, if I could.
Yeah.
Susan Blackmore, have any of you guys seen any of her stuff? She was evidently big time into like everything paranormal and OBEs, but from all the stuff I've watched on her on YouTube, I only really heard of one big OBE experience that lasted for 2 days. So I don't know what was going on with her at that point, but she was doing medium and the whole 9 yards. And then one day she was soaking in a bathtub and decided that it was all bullshit. It's using her words. And so now she's making this concerted effort to disprove OBEs and gives big lectures. You can look at Blackmore. It's on YouTube. You can see her stuff, and she's got all these drawings of what goes on in the brain and everything, that it's just all hallucination. Yeah, so I don't know if I wondered if anybody knew anything about that.
They might be forcing her to do that.
Who would force her?
Be surprised.
Really? I would think everybody should be interested in it, just that everybody should be really positive about this, wouldn't they? Although I have to tell you that, since I've been doing this and I tell my friends, it doesn't go over real well.
Yeah, it's an odd subject for a lot of people.
Yeah, they're convinced I'm just making it up because I'll just do anything to try to connect, that I'll make myself believe anything. But I know it wasn't.
Ronnie, do you have a question?
Yeah, because I came in to the group basically the last meeting we had, so I didn't really get to read any of the materials, or I'm not sure where to find them. So if you could shoot those to me or tell me how to get to them, so I'll be prepared with that next time, that'd be great.
Okay, will do.
Yes, the problem with staying there is a problem with staying too long on the astral plane. And what I found out is that when I go in for too long, eventually I get bored, and I just want to end the experiments. And I read somewhere I don't know which of Monroe's books, where he said he got bored, and I could actually identify with that. And that's when he went to look for his core self. I don't know what chapter that one is, the part where he goes for his core self. And that's when everything changes.
Right. I felt that too, Andrew. I got that when I was out before. I'm like, I didn't like that feeling. I was like, wow, am I bored? I had that feeling.
Yes, it does. It does get boring.
Yeah, that's why it's always good to bring a bag full of goodies with you, things to try, and get to next levels or different locales, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, but by the time you get to the higher astral level and you see the tall buildings and everything massive, it makes you feel that you're more than human. You're in fact, you're not even human.
Oh, Susan, I just remembered this morning I had strong vibrations. I did a wake back to bed exercise. It was really strong, and I was asking, I was like, Susan, come pull me out. I need some help. I kind of did feel something, like a little. I never did get out though, but I was asking for help.
What time was it? Your time?
It was, I'd say, around 9 a.m. 9 or 10, somewhere around there.
I was still in bed at that
Yeah.
time. So, see, I always go to sleep with it on my mind. If somebody's asked me something like that, I always go to sleep with that on my mind. So sometimes I just wait to see if somebody calls me, because I hope so, because when I come, if I've been out during sleep and I come back in. A lot of times I can't recall clearly everything that I've done lately, the last year, for some reason, because there's some other things going on with me that have been happening psychically that are just completely new, just been completely new to me for years now. That so for the last year or so, if it happens in my sleep, I have more trouble recalling it than if I've done it consciously. But I know it's like I'll wake up and I'll just, the first thing I'll think is, oh, that was fun. But what was it? Wait, what was it? But it was fun because I feel good. So I know it was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Marty, go ahead.
I'm sorry to be saying so much. This is
No,
first
no. You got your hand up. You're
okay. A little quickie, Susan. I'm really sorry about your brother. I'm sorry you talked about that before and didn't get a chance to offer my condolences for your loss of your brother.
A lot of people have lost people this past year. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know that your loss is still, you know, I'm sure weighing heavily on you. So, anyway, and then back to the other subject. I just also wanted to mention, and I don't know if this means anything or anything, but that vibration thing, I mean, I get it, like right just before I blast off, but it's like a second, if even that long. It's just, so, you know, when people talk about vibration, vibrating, and so I don't know if I should try to make that last longer, or if there's any way to do that, or if that's good or bad or indifferent, or you don't really, doesn't matter.
I think if it's working for you, go with it, you know, because we're all different. We're all different. And if that's getting you out of body, go with it. I wouldn't try to fine tune it right now. I would just keep going out and gaining more experience. You know, you become more proficient as you get out. So if you blast out, just blast out. I've done it before. But with exuberance, knowing that I was about to get out and just boom, right through the roof, and just in my mind, just going, woohoo, you know, just, oh my God, you know, because every time it's amazing. It never gets old to me. It never gets old. And I'm never not just astounded by it. It's miraculous to me. It just feels like the greatest gift we've been given is to step outside and understand what we are. Understand that we are not this, we live here, but we're not this. And it's a wonderful gift. And
really
amazing. So I would do what you're doing. If you're getting out of body, I wouldn't worry about how you're getting out. If you're blasting out, if it's a lack of control that you're worried about, like I know when you move really quickly across the sky, I'm a person that I don't care for heights. And it's a strange thing out of body because you can't hurt yourself. You can't.
I know. It was scary. Like I thought it was going to fall, just like Nikki said too.
So I learned a long time ago, because I used to, when I first started doing this, I was young, and I thought you had to fly like Superman. You had to put your hands out, and I would feel myself going like this, and it scared me because I thought I would start falling and I'd fall to the ground and hurt myself. But I learned that you can change your form and move really, really fast, but you just change your form from from resembling your body to you just put it into a ball of light, and then tell it where to go. And you're still conscious in it. And as soon as you get where you're going, you just go back to your etheric form. You're back in your, you know, looking like you again. But you can travel. I found I could travel more quickly if I did that. If I just concentrated you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna ball of light myself. I'm just, whatever I have to tell myself, but it's just like being a little ball of light, and you just go. So I think you could probably, you know, if you think about that after you get out, I wouldn't think about it before you get out, but if you happen to think about how fast you're going, you might just tell yourself, you know, I'm going to go into my little ball of light body now so I can go a little faster. And then you can slow it down anytime you want to and just be back like you are.
The higher self now, that William Buhlman actually wrote a book, Higher Self Now. I've read mostly all his books. If you're familiar with that. And he says, when you get out and you think you're already at the best place you could be, locale, whatever, to say higher self now, you demand it and that you will go blasting. Well, I was saying that when I was up there with that hot air balloon, and it didn't do nothing.
Yeah. It might
So
not-
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just something you just experiment with. Yeah. We just,
Did
Nick-
anybody ever do that? That higher self now
Yeah.
thing?
Yep.
Yes, I did the higher self now, but I've changed it because what I found is that when you because once you've got a relationship with your inner self, when you use the command, and that command, it cannot find any reference point for it because it needs to find what you mean by higher self. Because you assume that yes, when you say higher self now, it knows what you're talking about. It doesn't know what you're talking about. It's got no reference for higher self. But what I found, there's no reference for higher self. What does higher self mean? It doesn't know. It's a concept that we use. So when you say higher self now, you're not saying anything. So what could happen is that you say higher self now, it could take you up, down, zigzag, and start acting erratically. Normally, when your body is going erratically like that, after you get a command, it means that it can't find it. It can't find any, because the thing that you're giving the command to is based on actuality, not fantasy. It's based on there has to be something. What's the higher self? But it doesn't know the difference between lower self and higher self.
Right.
So what I find works with it, what I get results from when I say inner self, it responds to that one.
what do you say?
Inner self, because you can't see your higher self. Once you've got to the point where you're projecting, your higher self is already operating within you. So expecting to see your higher self as something separate from you, it's not going to be possible. You're not going to see it.
No, because it's not separate from you. Nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's operating from inside you now. It's not outside anymore.
Yeah.
There's a union.
That's true.
Yes, you have accomplished the first union, the union between the outside and the inner. So you cannot expect to see the inner outside again.
Right.
You are now a team that works on the psychic plane. Anytime you travel, it's with you. You're not on your own. You're never on your own when you project.
No, that's true.
Thanks. Nikki, you got
Because
a question? I'm gonna pass it to Nikki real quick. Nikki?
Yeah. I've lost a lot of people too, and in the last year as well. And I've had a lot of success being able to see them again. For me, with lucid dreaming is the way that it's worked, and I feel like you could use the same techniques in out of body that you would in a lucid dream. So what I would do is basically it's kind of like the command thing, but you have to like work on your intent so you truly believe that it will happen. So you have to like really build up your will and your intent. And you might just close your eyes and say, when I open my eyes, he will be in front of me. You know, my husband will be with me. And, you know, open your eyes and believe that he will be. And usually that's enough. Or, you know, when I walk around this corner, he'll be sitting on that stool. I've done that one before. But you said you've had some success with him coming to you.
Yes.
What do you mind sharing?
Well, this might have been an out of body that I don't remember. We have a big 70-inch television, and I fell asleep on the couch one night, and then I saw him climb out of the television with the TV was on as I was sleeping. And he walked over, and I mean, it was as real as real. And he leaned over and he grabbed my arm, you know, put his arm down around my arm, like, you know, and just pulled me out. But then I don't have any memory after that. I mean, the physical feeling of his hand grasping around my arm was so real. But, you know, I don't know if that was an out of body or not. I'm not chalking that up as one of my out of bodies, but that was the connection for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like he pulled your astral body out and showed you something, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that was one. There have been, well, you guys can believe this. I mean, mostly everybody I tell doesn't believe this, but this is for real. He breathes through me multiple times during the day. I can tell it's him. It's like if you were walking through the mall back in the pre-COVID days, and all of a sudden you smell like Cinnabon real strong wafting down, and it's like, what is that? You know, it grabs your attention. Or to be more gross about it, if you were driving in the country and all of a sudden it's like, what's that smell? Somebody put manure on the fields. But you know, or something's burning in the kitchen. I'll be real busy doing something, and all of a sudden, man, it grabs my attention, and it's a definite I don't mean to say fragrance or odor or whatever, but it's like between coffee and toast and that, like if you open a new book and you can smell the pages, the newness of the paper. If you put all those together, it's like that, and it's quite strong. And sometimes it'll be one inhale, sometimes it'll be 5 inhales. And when that happens, I also feel like going up over my frontal lobe, and a real nice feeling, and even like a smile I can feel my cheeks going. And you know, so I whatever I'm doing, I always stop and thank him. But you know, this is numerous times through the day that happens. So there's that. There's my husband died in New York, and I'm in Florida. And when I got back to Florida, I noticed that we have a grandfather clock that was actually his retirement gift, and the clock wasn't. It was, the hands are stuck. And I was busy putting stuff away and everything. And a couple of days later, I noticed that's about when he died. And I got out the death certificate, and it's exactly 9:06. And that was the exact time on his death certificate. Wow. And the pendulum is still swinging. The clock is still running, but the hands are stuck at 9:06. So I could list more things, but those are some of the things that convinced me that, you know, he's there, and I just have to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, it sounds like you're definitely, you know, connected, and that I believe you will find each other, because it sounds like, you know, he's already there. So
He's trying as hard as you are.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's gonna, and it'll happen for you.
Ronnie, go ahead. Ronnie, you got a question?
Yeah, you guys jogged my memory. There was a time years ago where I would wake up, I could be in my body or near my body or in another room, and something would be trying its hardest to pull me out, whether it was out of my body, out of the house, and I would fight against this like so hard. It would be like a battle to the point where I would get so tired. I was just wondering if has anybody ever had an experience with that, and what that might mean?
Yeah, can I come in? If you have something that is trying to pull you out, it doesn't matter what that thing is. The mere fact that it's trying to pull you out, that thing is a positive. It's when they try to push you, back in, then that's when it's bad. You understand? Because by him pulling you out, he's helping you to ascend, whatever it is. So it could be a guide, it could be anything, it could be even your own subconscious mind. Trying to assist you in accomplishing the projection of leaving your body.
Yeah, I kind of had to figure it was probably positive, but I was just like, I couldn't see it, you know. And
you don't have to see it. Most of the time, they're invisible.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the one that pulled me out. I've been pulled out before. You know, I've been pulled out. It could also be. It could actually even. Yeah, it's most likely going to be. Either a guide or an invisible being. I've had that experience before, being pulled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't resist it. You surrender to it.
I will next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mikey, it looks like Mikey's been trying so hard to get a question, and he keeps getting dropped. Mikey, are you that? Can you talk to
Mendoza?
Hi guys.
Hi, Mikey.
Mikey, go ahead. You've been trying hard.
Is that Mikey Mendoza?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you on Facebook.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi guys, are you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like you got a bad connection, I think.
Just type it in the chat.
Yeah, type your question in the chat. Good, nice, Jason.
While he's typing, I'm interrupting again, but if you can, you see the clock? I've got it on
Yeah,
there.
I see it. 9:06.
Oh.
And you see it's still running?
Awesome.
The pendulum
Yeah.
going?
Matthew, you know what I get with you, with your experience? It looks like he's around you. And I've got the feeling that he communicates with you in telepathic manner. I don't know whether you received the information that he gives you via telepathic. And that experience you said you had, that you're right enough. The one where you were lying on the couch and falling asleep and he came out of the telly, that actually sounds like a visitation to me.
Yeah, like that sounds like a good name for it. Yeah.
Yes, he came to see you, and that was him. And the reason why you could feel him physically, that wasn't your dream body. That's what you call. It sounded like local. That place where you get all those entities and that. That sounds like the place where he met you in that body, because you said you were lying on the couch. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like your etheric body, and because it's partly physical, you're going to feel it as physical. It sounds so physical, like almost like your own physical body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that body is. That's how that body is. Because apparently that body is part of our physical body.
It's just so wonderful to be able to talk to you guys. I can't thank you enough.
It's not our astral body. The astral body is the one that floats and the one that flies. That body that you're talking about does not fly. You will not be able to fly with it.
Right.
Mikey's got his question here. He is going to ask us a question. Anybody can respond to it. Mikey wants to know, has anyone ever astral projected while waking?
First waking
up. I think he meant walking, didn't he?
It's WAKING he's got.
I had a friend who had it, but it's not astral projection, and it scared the shit out of him. What he had been doing, he'd been messing around with his crown chakras. He was working solely on his crown chakras. So one day he was walking on the street, he was going to the market, and then all of a sudden he popped out of his body and he was able to see his head while it was walking like a puppet. He said he felt like he was pulling his body like a puppet. So it took him about 5 years to get himself back to normal, to ground all the, he didn't feel comfortable with it.
Right.
He felt there was something wrong about it. Why? Because he was wide awake when it happened. So it is possible to protect the spirit while you're working.
Do you think he meant walking or waking? What do you got?
He was on the way to the market.
Oh,
he was wide awake. He was wide awake when this happened. He was wide awake, yes. Yeah. And all of a sudden he popped out of his body. His body was still walking. You could see it, but he wasn't in it.
My experience was, I was awake. It was in the morning when I woke up, and I didn't close my eyes or go back to sleep, but it was just, yeah, I don't know if that's what you mean, but I was laying down, but I was awake.
I've done it while awake. I was wide awake. I was just daydreaming a little bit, but I was wide awake, and next thing I know, I was at the other side of the room looking at myself.
Where you sat on the chair?
I was sitting on my bed, and I was watching a TV show, and
that can happen. That can happen. I thought you said you were walking or something. Yeah, that's possible.
Mikey was the one that said that, I believe.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
But I've heard of people that said that they could do that. Like literally, they could consciously project while walking, like doing anything, and they could just pop out and in whenever they wanted to.
Well, yeah, some say that.
All right, everybody. Time flies, man. You're having a
gotta
good
go.
time. It's 2 hours. Well, it's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. So thank everybody for coming. What a great night. Nikki, congratulations.
Yeah.
Everybody that's new here, thanks for coming and sharing with everybody. The next one's going to be on Friday
Which
on
chapter?
chapters 7, 8, and 9 on
Okay.
Friday. I'm
7,
going
8,
to
9.
do three chapters, 7,
Cool.
8, and 9.
Okay.
Well, I will see you all there.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Good
Thank
night.
you, everybody.
You guys.
Bye-bye.